Hey guys, Solly here, and today we are going to be looking at a weekly key route for Dawnbreaker. So this is a Dawnbreaker 10. I find this route to be quite simple, straightforward, and is easily done with a group of completely random people, or if you just blast in a weekly key with your mates. The only thing that I would say about this route is there is a little bit of going backwards and forwards with flying and such, but the mobs that I take through this route seem to be what I found to be the most straightforward. So, as per usual then, if there are any mistakes that we make or anything along those lines, I'll call them out. But for the most part, the route is pretty much as I intended it to be. So immediately from the get-go then, you're going to want to just go and grab the first pack. The Night Bolt casts here are what you ideally want to make sure do not go off. The higher the key, the more painful it is. Make sure that Stygian Seed is out of the group, the purple circle, and is dispelled. And yes, essentially just keep things kicked and keep things stunned as you can. You are then going to go onto the boat, and you are going to do the same pull as we've been doing in previous seasons. You pull the Commander Shadow Mage and the Curse Blade right in front of you, and then when these appear, I accidentally charged the wrong NPC there. The ones that come down the stairs, you're going to want to pick them up, and this is also an ideal time to commit Lust. It's what we were doing before, things don't seem to have changed, but if you can get these down, it is a nasty double pack, then the better. Following on from that then, you are going to go across to the boats, the same as before. I can see that this one right in front of us is here. You still can fall through them and go through them and all that good stuff. So what I like to do is fly across, and then I press my mount button just as I'm above them to automatically dismount, and then I can charge into the packs. I am playing Prot Warrior, as you've noticed here, rather than my Brewmaster. And this isn't as geared as my Brewmaster, and it was still fine for plus 10. So it does seem this season you don't need to have the best gear, especially as a tank, to make it through just fine. Once this pack is down, again, making sure that you lock down as many of the casts as possible, and the Bursting Cocoon is out of the group. You're then going to fly across the other side and repeat that, same as before. Kill this pack, click the bomb as it spawns, and then fly back to the middle boss. This commander here can have some nasty overlaps with like the web bolt and such, so you can see that I'm tracking on the nameplates when their next abilities are coming up and such, and I'm just getting prepared with any mitigation or anything that might feel that I need. The next thing then is the boss. So you go across to the middle and you pull the boss. Now, again, very little has changed really on this. From a tanking perspective, the higher up in keys you go, you just want to make sure that you've got like a defensive ready, or you're mitigating the obsidian beam, the initial hit that this can do when it first comes out can hurt, so just be mindful of that. The ranged players want to bait. You can see here that the pools tend to focus the two furthest range. So if you have got two range, try and get them to bait, because you want to make sure that you've got space in between the boss and the circles for when Obsidian Beam comes out. So you can see I've got just enough here. This boss can be tricky as well to move with spell queuing and such. We got a bit lucky in the sense that these beams rotated this way, so we did have a little space, but we could still, if we needed to, either edge just round on the inside or run all the way around the purple circle if needed. At the 50% mark, the boss will then cast her ability. This one here, Darkness Comes, where you take off, you fly around the ship. Don't be anywhere near the big purple circle. When that goes off, if you are near it, you will die. Get back to the boat and then rinse and repeat. Okay, so the next part of the route then is when the boss gets to like 1% and she casts her Darkness Comes ability again, that is the boss over. So at this point, she's in, Darkness Comes, we've done the boss, take off, and you fly to the main big building. You can see I'm pinging it here, and you want to land just here. Now this, in my view, is the hardest pull of the dungeon, especially if you've got no defensives. The healer's got no cooldowns after the boss. So just bear this pull in mind. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the pack that spawns here. So there's 4 here. And then you are going to want to take the 4 which are on the stairs as well. Now, we do lose some people, I think, if I remember rightly, on this pull. Like I said, it is the difficult one of the dungeon, I think. But if you get the kicks in, if you dodge the frontals, dodge the purple swirlies that are on the ground, this is a doable pack. And once you've done this, you are then on the free and easy route, in my view. Once you've done this then, you are then going to want to take the 2 adds on the right-hand side at the bottom of the stairs, and you are going to want to get the 2 adds on the left-hand side of the stairs, and then you are going to want to run in up the stairs and into the building. So you can see here, when this tactician goes down, I tag the pack on the left, I tag the pack on the right, and I make my way up into the building, and I grab the first mini-boss, and then I tuck myself into this corner so I can line of sight these adds. I've lost aggro on this one because DPS have started going on it already, but if you all line of sight around the corner, it will run in, I can get the taunt. Then when the fear comes in, I can just position myself right in the corner, and then everybody else, if there's any melee, they can just shuffle back a little bit. They will have some downtime on it, but they will not get feared. And this is what I think the easiest way to manage this pull. So get yourself line of sight and get yourself into this corner and just burst these adds down. The next pull then, you are going to want to run out of this building, and you are going to want to ping where you are landing, but essentially you are going to go to the mini-boss that we used to do 3rd in the previous season. So that is the one near the next boss. So you take off, head just to your right. You can see where I'm pinging, and you want to land in between the stairs and this building here. So you have this pack of 3 in front of you and the mini-boss. You also want the Shadow Walker and the Dark Caster. Now, I believe we wiped on this pull. I think there was just some people that stood in the frontal, hit the orb or what have you, and it didn't go to plan. So we do have a full wipe here. Some key things to note then is, again, you've got the purple frontals. You can see them moving quite clearly along the ground. Make sure you get out of them. And then finally, this mini-boss will do the Dark Orb ability. They've made this a lot easier to see. A player will be targeted with the orb. They need to position themselves in front of the mini-boss and down this path. And what you want to do is send the orb as far down this path as possible. The further away it is, then the less damage it will do to the group. In a minute, you can see that I do fall over here, yeah, and the group does wipe. However, we still had plenty of time left for this key, so I just went back and repeated this pull and got this down. When you get this pull down then, you are then going to make your way back over to the main building that you've just come out of, and fly just to the right of it. So you can see, take off, and there's the main building, and you can see where I'm pinging. There's a few adds here, so there's 3 here, 3 or 4, there's 3, and then there is 2 adds at the bottom of the stairs just behind you, and you're going to want to take 2 of these. This, fairly straightforward pull. Dodge the frontals and dodge the purple swirlies on the ground, and make any kicks that you need to, or spell reflect if you have it, if you are a prot warrior. Once these are down then, you are then going to fly across to the mini-boss, the final mini-boss, which you can see just here. Now, what I should do here, and I don't for some reason, is you want to land here. There are a couple of orbs here which you do need. So if you land on the left-hand side, pull the orbs, wait for everyone else to land, and then run in to this pack. So you've got the mini-boss, this Coxrear, or whatever her name is, 2 technicians. You can see I'm checking here. I was like, oh yeah, I do need these 2 little blobs. So I go and pick them up and bring them in. You also want to grab the 2 adds at the bottom of the stairs. However, this mini-boss does pulsing AoE damage, which can be quite annoying when the frontals and everything else is going off. So I decide to just leave it a little while before I pull them in. And I actually leave it a little bit too late. I could have gone in earlier and picked these up. You can see here, as these ads are getting low, I'm like, right, okay, I'll wait for this AoE damage to go out, and then I will go and pick them up, and we kill this pack before we kill the Shadow Walkers. So I got that timing a little wrong, but it doesn't matter. We still got those down. After this, then, you're going to go to your final trash pack of the dungeon before you go to the second boss, which is here. So you can see here is the second boss. There is a platform raised to the right of it, and this hut here, I believe, is where the quartermaster for Hallowfall is. You're going to want to land here, and you're going to want to take the pack that's just outside of it, and this pack here that you can see at the bottom of my screen, and bring them to here where I land. So I pick these three up, I then come across, and I pick these three up, and I bring them into the middle, just being mindful that there is a pack further down behind me now at the bottom of this walkway. So while people are dodging the frontal or the swirlies on the floor, they do not go too far and pull these alongside this, because that would make this a very difficult pack, as there are multiple casters over there. This here, I find there's just the right amount of casters to be able to keep locked down in a group of 5, and the rest of it is just watching your feet and making sure you are not standing in anything purple on the floor. Once you've done this pull, then you are then going to go on to the second boss. However, before you pull the boss, you are just going to want to look up to the alleyway to the left and grab a couple of the little purple blobs that are on the floor. You only need 2, but sometimes it's quite difficult to just pull the 2 and you end up pulling 3. It's not a problem, just pull them onto the boss. So you land here behind the boss. Those darknesses there, you need at least 2 of them. But because of how close they are, I was going to get 3, and you just bring them into the boss. This boss then, from a tank perspective, if you've got a mobility like type ability here, it is great to save for the fear mechanic. So with warrior, you've got either charge or heroic leap. But essentially, you can see when it goes out, I just sidestep to the left, make sure nobody's getting hurt, and then heroic leap back in, so that I have enough time to be back in to either pick up any adds that spawn or be stacked for healing when Shadowy Decay, the AoE group-wide AoE damage comes out, and you're there for the healer. When the adds are spawning, make sure you're in a position where you can snap aggro on them pretty quickly, because DPS will just go full ham into cleaving them, and it can be quite tricky. And then the final ability then is the Dark Orb, same as the mini-boss you saw a minute ago. Send it behind you so that it does as less damage as possible. That is the second boss in a nutshell. It's hardest thing here is for healers. They just need to make sure that when these overlaps come out in terms of 2 different abilities happening at the same time, whether that's Dark Orb and also the AoE damage, that they have just got a cooldown ready to make sure that the group stays as healthy as possible. Once you've done this boss then, you are then going to make your way up to the boat. So 93.91% is what I am on. That is pretty much exactly what you need in order to be able to go up to the boat. I'll leave this in for fun. So the boss dies, and I just completely forget that I have that nasty dot on me, and I fly off. Straight out of range of healer, obviously. And yeah, die. It was just a little shortcut to get me up to the boat. That's what that was. When you get up to the boat, then you have the Architect. This NPC will do a few abilities. One, it will spawn additional adds, which you will see in just a moment. It will spawn 3 adds dotted around him. It will also do this ability, Tormenting Eruption, where it targets 2 players, puts a circle around them, and does pulsing damage to them. So make sure you are spread. You may need a defensive there if you get targeted. And essentially, you are just trying to kill this as fast as possible whilst not getting as many ad spawns as you can. So you can see here that it spawns 3. Bring it in, get aggro on them as quickly as possible. Bring it in so you can cleave them. There are additional kicks to be made to make things easier. You want to stop the barrier, for instance. Ideally, you want to try and kill this architect before it spawns, like the third set of ads, if you can. Just because it makes it a little bit easier for you. And I have seen it in the past when you do kill the architect. So you can see here that we really wanted to kill it before those spawn, but we didn't quite get it. The architect actually teleports over to where the boss spawns, and you can accidentally pull the boss. It's not too much of an issue if you're ready for it, and you can pull these ads onto the boss. But ideally, just kill them, go straight into the boss. You can see here that I've got, 9.5 minutes left, and we're now on the last boss, and that was exactly 100%, pretty much, in this route. So this boss itself then, it will do a frontal, 2 web lines come out in front of it, and you need to dodge them. It will then also target somebody with rolling acid, which you will see coming up in just a moment. When rolling acid comes out, it is exactly the same as Rashanan in the raid, because this is the raid boss from the second raid of this expansion. Somebody will be targeted with a green line. Now you can see here that there is a thick, straight green line, and then there is a green wave. This means that the wave is going to go that way, so left across the screen from the green line. So this player here needs to be on the left of everybody. So you can see he will run across everybody, and we all move to the right so that the wave goes across and doesn't stun any of us. If the wave is on the other side, he would need to be on the right. The other thing to note about this is DPS doesn't really matter too much in this phase. You want to collect 6 barrels, which you will spawn at the back of the room. You run across to them, you click on them, you pick them up, you run to the boss, you press your extra action button and throw them at the boss. And then once you have thrown 6 barrels, so you can see here we've done 4, we've done 5. Once we've done 6, the boss will then transition. As well as the erosive spray, which is the AoE damage, group-wide damage that the boss does, and the healer might need to be focused on that, so DPS do need to pick up the barrels as well. When the boss takes off and you can mount up, you don't need to follow him around. You can just fly straight to where you fight the boss at the end. It looks like you're going to die, but when you land, you will get the light buff. So you can just stand here and wait for it to appear. When the boss lands, you need to interrupt it. There is a little bit of a knockback. Interrupt it, get into the boss, and then you manage the same frontal ability as on the boat in phase 1. You will have the same rolling acid. You will have the same AoE group-wide damage that he does, and there will also be 2 circles which will go out on 2 different players, which need to be moved out of the group to the sides. So you can see here, rolling acids come out, Demon Hunter moves to the left, and then you've got spinner strands happening now. So this is where 2 people were marked. They move them out to the sides to keep the floor clear from webs. You will then get expel webs, which is the frontal, and you'll see that now. Move to the side, and then erosive spray, which is where if you've got defensives, if you've got things like darkness, rally cry, all of that good stuff, it just helps. You do not need to get the boss to 0. You need to just keep going until the boss will decide to fly away and then be finally killed in the raid from Season 2. There you go, that is my route. As you can see, we did this with we could have 2-chested it if we didn't have as many deaths. However, yeah, easy route, great for weekly keys and pugs, and I think is pretty straightforward and simple to do. Thanks for watching.